I'm not the English is not familiar, so I'm just reading some little past. I talk about the 대장경 in the tipitaka. So my title is Tree and Leaf. It's this same title as you know, very famous figure, J.R. Tolkien's the title Tree and Leaf, but not follow that. It's the yes, tree and leaf is very meaningful in the Buddhism. As tree have a special meaning for Buddhist Ashoka tree, Jambu tree, Bodhi tree, Sala tree, etc. Those trees are, of course, real life background of Buddha's life, but those trees have become symbols or metaphors now. That is tipitaka or Buddhist canon, which is written on the leaf or carved on the wood of trees. It's true that the weight should be put on Buddha himself, but record of canon is an essential part of Buddhism in the tree and leaf in the history of recording canon or more meaningful than Buddha. The meaning of canon is actually sutra, but the usage often includes disciple Vinaya and the treatise Abhidharma. So typically when we say canon in English, we understand that the Tripitaka and this word is most prepared by us. In Northeast Asia, however, before 10th to the 13th century CE, they used the word 이치징, 일체경, Sarva Sutra, whole Buddhist text, or 중징, 중경, the Sankita of Sutra, collection of Buddhist text, and 산장, 삼장, Tripitaka. 삼장, 산장 has continued and now is a universal word, but at the present date generally preferred using the word 대장경, huge Pitaka Sutra in Northeast Asia. The meaning is the Sutra of huge Tripitaka. The meaning of Pitaka Sutra is a little strange, but the Sutra sometimes is thought of every Buddhist text in Northeast Asia people. So to them there is a difference between Sutra Pitaka and Pitaka Sutra, so they can use terms Agama Sutra and Nikaya Sutta. Sometimes canon was inscribed on the stone, sometimes inscribed on the golden plate, sometimes on the piece of tree, sometimes tree birch bark or printed by typeset from early period. This is a stone inscribed on the stone, 화엄경, 화ien, or the Awadamsaka Sutra in Korea. Maybe this is the Dongguk University Museum. It's a very, very small piece. This is a Chinese stone sutra, but the skip because we are focused on Korean Buddhism. 10th to the 14th century Goryeo dynasty in Korea, in Jeolla province, the last on the ancient stupa, a Sharira casket was unearthed from the stupa during repairs to the stupa in 1965. 왕궁리 석탑. This is a Sharira casket. Inside, Vajracharita Sutra, Kumgangyang, was discovered inside of the Sharira casket. It is made of gold panel that was pressed by tool from the back. The stupa is from the Goryeo dynasty, but the age of this sutra is the depute as it is origin, Silla dynasty or Baekje dynasty. However, it identified as comes from before 10th century. This is a Southeast Asia script. You know, this is the birch bark at the leaf. On the leaf, describe the stylus pen, and on the ink. The part is the binding is the center. Center is the hole, right? like this. But Korea style very similar type in the Chinese version. On the not leaf, on the paper, like this Chinese style. This is a polder type. Yes, this is polder type. In Northeast Asia, from 11th century Song dynasty began the creation of wooden block tipitaka. The process is much bigger, so manufacture was never attempted at the individual level, or only on a national policy scale. At the same time, the creation of wooden blocks is a measure of the strength of the nation, because their creation requires a huge number of trees, sewing technology, high quality human resources, those handwriters, engravers, lacquerers, and paper manufacturers, etc. The process took a long time, 16 years in Korea case. At first, lumbered trees were put in the mud flat or seawater for about years, and so the lengthways for the wood grain, a maximum of 6 blocks could be made from a tree. Next, the paper manuscripts were written, and these were passed this board upside down, and by teaching carved into the wood. This was done on both sides. Finally, the 1801, 258 blocks were proceeded over 160,000 paper pages. At the present, the only perfect wooden block tipitaka in the existence of the Koreana edition, tipitaka Koreana, 고려대장경, in Hainsa Temple, Gyeongsang Province, even though about the 10 were created in China, the only this edition left. This is 고려대장경, like this. It's a wooden block and color, black color. A little bit this movie clip, but we don't have time, so skip. It's ingyong. This is a wooden block on the side. The ink, black ink. The human's hair. It mixed the brush, make brush only this. After printing, they could choose 2 types of binding. The first one is a scroll type, made by connecting papers. This is an effective way of keeping them for a long time. However, these are not easy to read. Like this, very not easy to, and the handle are relatively heavy because there is a stick in the center. It's a stick in the center. This is this type, the binder type is 권자본. 권자본 is this means 권. This means 권. So the counting books nowadays we in Korean 한 권, 두 권, 책 한 권, 두 권. Originally we call the 한 책, 두 책, but nowadays 한 권, 두 권. This one. This is a folder type. Folder type, this type can be easy to read and portable. Of course, there is a drawback in they tend to break apart at the crease. However, this type is usually prepared. This way is similar to folding type of manuscript used in Southeast Asia, even though they follow the different making processes. The evolution from manuscript to printing systems took place very early due to the development of paper in China. In the 2nd century, paper was made by traditional method using different technologies in Korea, China, and Japan, which continue to the present. The Hanji, the Korean papers. In the 3 countries of Northeast Asia, Korea, China, and Japan, it's not only were canon scribed and manuscript made on the papers, but also papers were already being dyed in the different colors. This is the 12th century, the Goryeo dynasty, black color paper and golden ink, the manuscript in the Dongguk University. This is a dark blue colors and golden ink manuscript. This is National Museum, the 14th century. This is the Goryeo Dynasty, the ochre color and silver ink manuscript. Everything is paper. That is in the technology of the Goryeo. And other story, most lay people, those who not the scholars, just the touches and the turns instead of read. To them, the canon is the stuff of worship as our monks. You know, the mani or manicha in Tibet, as you know, the small version, the portable. Inside is the papers, the sutra, the canon. But in Tibet, sutra cases are worshipped, but in Korea, China, and Japan, they are just cases for the shape keeping of sutra as pieces of paper. Sometimes cases were buried. This seems to be for the next generation. It's gyeongtong in Korea. Gyeongtong is a sutra case. Like this, very similar case. The stone maybe, and the steel. Yeah, this case is Southeastern Asia case. The manuscript, like this, modern case. Another version, the cases in Korea, there is another tradition that is Yunjangde, the large turning case with a cannon inside. This is similar to the Tibetan style. Like this, very similar the mani or manicha. This is Korean. Korea is the Tripitaka Koreana in Haeinsa, Gyeongsang Province. Very famous the building and sutra panel, wooden block Tripitaka Koreana. This. This is a steel. This is steel. It's the against the twisted. So the building is very interesting. The window, the window of Sutra building are made of different sizes. The upper window is the small, and the low window is the large. And the other side, the opposite way is the low side is small, and the upper side is big. So the window is coming at like this. Yeah. The building design not only controls the wind but also can balance moisture. The floor of the building consists of the charcoal, the sand, the limes, clays, and salt in layers. These metals keep the building at the fixed humidity during dry weather or rain, like this. And so this is the sand, clay, lime, and the charcoals and salt. Yeah, many the cement the layers. Very the window is like this. Keeping the wooden blocks in this kind of environment is good for the preservation of canon, but there is more we can do. Sometimes they should be exposed to sun too. So once a year an event is held where like people put the wood blocks on their head. Of course this is done as the blessing ritual. But the actual reason is to expose the wooden block to the sun. It's a 장경불사. The event originated at the transport the blocks from one place to another. Most Korean temples are deep in the mountains. 800 years ago, only human labor could be used to move wooden block to the temples. A huge total weight with the 80,000 pieces. Today, it is most important that we preserve the old manuscript, and the more effort is needed, especially for the fragile palm leaf type and the wooden block, etc. Unfortunately, we don't have a manuscript from before the 50th century. So existing manuscripts are our primary source of Pali and the Chinese. The form of canon inscribed on the leaf are the oldest record of Buddhist history. The majority of important manuscripts are housed in on old temples. The study, cataloging, editing, translating, and the preservation of these manuscripts should be our concern. Thank you.